creepy, and cool TikToks that will blow your mind. Are you ready? Are you ready? Let's go!
Disclaimer: this video is for entertainment purposes only. Please do your own research, as these clips haven't been fact-checked.
No, this is not an extra from Texas Chainsaw Massacre. This is a guy known as Smart Schoolboy 9. He calls himself that online. He has loads of accounts that he makes, but let me tell you now, you don't want to go and look at them because he has the creepiest edited photos of, obviously, the younger type of person. He also follows a lot of younger people. He's located apparently right now in Doncaster, and he is actually being investigated by the police, so they say. I'm not too sure on that one. But he is known to actually go out in public and dress like this, and there's even videos of him out there chasing kids. He films in kids' parks. He fetishizes this whole thing of him, and it is the most creepiest thing you will ever witness. I swear to God, it is literally like coming across a Hannibal Lecter type of thing. It's worrying, and you will see online if you go onto like Nexpo did a documentary on him on YouTube, NEXPO. Go and look at it. It will go in depth, and you will realize the depravity of this person, and also the Reddit. There is a Reddit page of Smart Schoolboy 9. Go onto that, and you will see, you will witness things. All I'm saying is, if you're out there, if you're in, apparently he looks to come back to London. He was in Doncaster in London. He frequents them two places, but keep an eye out, mate. And yeah, what the
According to Schoolboy 9 documentary, his real name is David Alter, but uses other names like David Stansfield and David London. He is 59.
Things humans were never meant to see.
What is going on there? Okay. What? That is awesome. Reptilian. Who throws a brick in their washing machine? Don't make any sense.
What makes Tunisian women's faces so attractive? Welcome to Beauty Across Borders, Episode 1. And today we're going to be looking at Tunisia. Now, Tunisian women generally have high cheekbones with large, expressive, almond-shaped eyes, which can be brown, hazel, or occasionally of the lighter shades. Eyebrows are usually well-defined, often dark and naturally thick. This fits well with modern beauty standards, as Feza et al. Have shown that thick and more masculine, low-set eyebrows were attractive in people under the age of 30. The nose is generally feminine and straight, or has a subtle curve, and the lips are generally full and well-defined, which adds to the femininity of the face. Tunisian faces are characterized by a warm olive and often tan skin complexion, with usually dark brown to black, thick, and often wavy or curly hair which complements their skin tone. El Kamel and colleagues have shown that the Tunisian gene pool is mainly dominated by a North African component, followed by a Middle Eastern contribution, and to a much lesser extent by lineages of Sub-Saharan, European, and Asiatic descent, resulting in a rich blend of Mediterranean, Middle Eastern, European, and African facial features, leading to the unique characterization of Tunisian faces. Let us know in the comments which country you'd like us to do next, and if you'd like to learn more about facial aesthetics, then follow us.
Tunisian women are so stunning. It's mind-blowing. Anyone from Tunisian here? Please drop a comment.
Only in Manhattan.
I think I owe that cat money.
Okay, major breaking news. We are just hearing that there has been a deadly mass shooting at Appalachia High School in Georgia. Now, this is very early on, but here is what we know so far. There is confirmed to be 4 people that are dead and more than 30 have been injured. Now, we don't know if these casualties are students or adults yet, or if that number will rise or not. A suspect who, according to reports, is of student age is now in custody, but it's unclear if they attended that high school or not. Visuals from the school right now show students crowding at the football field while FBI agents and law enforcement are entering the building.
Wow.
All of the schools in the district were placed in lockdown, and some of the critically injured were airlifted to hospital, which sources say they suffered gunshot wounds. Authorities are reunifying students with their parents as we speak, and the county sheriff said that what you see behind us today is an evil thing. Now, that's pretty much all we know right now, but of course, I'll make an update in a few hours and let you know more.
How can something like that happen so often? Thoughts and prayers to the victims and their family. Something has to change drastically. Oh!
To 10, but she has no concept
What are you doing?
of personal space.
Oh.
Man, you on the playground?
You just ate an entire chicken parm. A whole chicken. Do you have any idea what you've done?
Oh, come
It was
on.
$20.
Dogs are trainable. That must be a great goddamn shit. They taught this son of a bitch how to drive.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to
Is that Joe Rogan?
Happy birthday, dear Marshall. Happy birthday to you.
Did anyone else heart just drop on the first video?
First image of accused Georgia school shooter Colt Gray has emerged. The picture shows a smiling Gray in a yearbook photo from 2022. Gray was taken into custody minutes after he allegedly opened fire on Appalachia High School in Winder, Georgia, Wednesday, killing 2 fellow students and 2
Oh my
teachers.
goodness.
9 others were taken to local hospitals with non-life-threatening injuries. His aunt, Annie Brown, told the Washington Post on Thursday that the boy had been begging for help from everybody around him. She said that he had been struggling with his mental health prior to the shooting. Investigators are said to have found clues he was obsessed with the 2018 massacre at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida, which left 17 people dead. The teen and his father were investigated by the FBI in May 2023 over online school shooting threats, which included posts with photos of guns. Gray remains in juvenile custody in Georgia, awaiting his first court appearance. He will be charged as an adult.
They're also not talking about the fact that someone made a phone call that morning giving them a warning that there would be a shooting. And no one did anything about it.
Figures show that over 200 mobile phones are stolen across the UK every day. In London, a phone is stolen every 6 minutes, driven by an increased
Every
demand
6
for
minutes?
second-hand devices overseas. Most of these smartphones end up in the same Chinese city, Shenzhen. Has anyone had their phone stolen?
I was just on my phone and whoop.
And straight to Shenzhen.
They were like within a day or two, yeah.
Around 78,000 people had their phones stolen on British streets from March 2023 to March 2024. Figures also show that 4 out of 5 police investigations were closed before a suspect was even found.
And police, as always, do absolutely nothing.
Do you love me?
Yeah,
Tell me.
I love you.
Oh, that's good. How much do you love me?
Plenty.
Oh, that's wonderful. Did you all hear that? Plenty.
Yes, women need that confirmation every day.
I am proud to announce to you the first artificial intelligence road that will be completed in less than 1 year. The government is setting aside 10 billion for the completion of this project. Thank you.
Thank you.
No. Bro explained corrupt government in just 1 minute. The real goat.
Hi. What? I'll give you a hug. I love you. You know, I want to tell you a couple things. So, she doesn't have to suffer anymore. You know, she suffered so intensely on this life.
What? You know, I don't understand why let a parent go homeless or in the hands of a homeless shelter.
Y'all, if you watch that movie Deliverance on Netflix, you gonna need deliverance. It should have been called Watch This and Watch the Demons That Come Upon You. Because if you look at who directed this movie, deliverance from who? Deliverance from what? Only thing that's being transferred, you will have a delivery of demons. Don't watch that movie Body of Christ. Who produces things matters. It ain't no true deliverance. Ain't no true deliverance. Look at who produced it. Look at the cast, and you will know that movie is there to bring demons to you. Don't watch that movie. You're going to walk away worse than when you started. You want true deliverance? You want to see something true? Watch The Chosen. Watch The Chosen. Okay? Because that movie Deliverance ain't gonna do nothing but bring you demons. Do you want demons? Because
No.
if you watch that movie, you're gonna be hitting me up saying, sis, I need a session. And I'm gonna say, I told you don't watch the movie. Don't watch the movie. It ain't nothing but trouble. Don't watch the movie Deliverance on Netflix. Do not watch it. Please. I'm telling you, Body of Christ, and anybody, you watch a movie called Deliverance and they playing and doing all this demonic stuff with no real power, no real authority, watch what happened to you. All right, that's it. That's all. What we talk about today. Don't open doors, and make sure you closing doors that you opened. Don't even open this door. Remember I said just stop. Just stop. Don't watch that movie.
The number of people that are going to watch it after you said do not watch.
Please do not watch The Deliverance. I watched a documentary that had to do with that same house years ago, and at the beginning of the documentary, it had a disclaimer and a warning to all the viewers that they are not liable for death or injury to whoever's watching it. People on set got sick, so people were hurt, and I mean, this is no joke. Like, this is real. Like, all of this is 100% real. Demons are real. All of this is real. And by you watching this movie in your house, you could be opening up a door for these demons to come into your house, into your family's lives. And so I don't know about you guys, but I'm not watching the movie and I'm staying far away from it. And I really hope it just gets off my TikTok feed because I don't even want to hear about it.
Okay, I will watch it in my ex house.
A man who was found frozen in a cave has been identified after nearly 50 years. The case of the Pinnacle Man baffled investigators who found him in Pennsylvania 47 years ago, unable to identify him through fingerprints or dental records. But in August, Pennsylvania police teamed up with the FBI, and with fingerprint samples managed to identify the man in less than an hour. It was revealed the Pinnacle Man was 27-year-old Nicholas Paul Grubb from Fort Washington. The coroner said that in the last 15 years, he'd been unsuccessfully compared to around 10 missing people, and that his family were very appreciative of the efforts to find him. Grubb, known as Nicky to his family, had served the Pennsylvania Army National Guard and received an honorable discharge in 1971, they said.
Steve Rogers, Captain America.
Oh, this is, right? Well, chances are if you're American, you don't. Meet Dave, one of the greatest rappers on the planet. Now, I know what you're thinking. He can't be that great. I haven't heard of him. Let me explain why. It's because he's from a place called the United Kingdom, you know, where Adele lives. And Americans only typically listen to American music. Now, remember when I said he's one of the greatest rappers on the planet? Well, there's actually a reason why. See, Dave had a problem. It all started because of a high-profile case in London. Dave's older brother and a couple of his classmates get into a scuffle with some students. One of the students ends up, and it's all over the news. Why? Because this happened in broad daylight, in the middle of a busy intersection. Now, I want you to remember something. The more attention a crime gets, the harsher the punishment is probably gonna be. And this was no different for Dave's brother, who ends up getting life in prison. Now, this is devastating for Dave's family. Dave loses his father figure, and his mom falls into a deep depression. Dave's mom tells him and his other brother, y'all better lock in. His other brother goes, you hear that, Dave? You better lock in, because I just got locked up. His mom said, what you mean by that? His other brother ends up getting locked up too, so Dave's the only one left. His mom said, oh, so y'all trying to be locked up? Dave, you locked up too. He said, what you mean? She said, school room. So in order to not lose her youngest son to prison, Dave's mom doesn't allow him to leave the house. So he makes music over and over again. Boy, locked up in the hyperbolic time chamber, he becomes a monster. But no one knows how good he is until he appears on something called Black Box Freestyle. A 16-year-old Dave that no one has ever heard of begins to let loose and describes all his past traumas with his brother living in the house and all that. Everybody said, who that? He said, my name Dave. They said, damn, you signed to a deal like Kanye and them? He said, nah, I just study law. He studied law. Everybody said, okay, types. Make some more music though. He said, all right, I got y'all. So he drops some more freestyles. He starts creating a buzz in the city. He goes over to his mom. He said, hey, mom, I'm dropping out of law school. She said, son, just follow your dreams. Psych, stupid. His name David Omoreji. He Nigerian. She lost it. Said, mom, them folk really love me though. She said, boy. He takes her to a concert. She goes, oi, okay, son, type. Then makes his first album and wins Album of the Year in the Brit Awards, which is their Grammys. He wins as a rapper over Harry Styles. I don't think you understand how big that is. Drake certainly understood. Drake has a reputation for spotting talent and says, hey, you want to be on a TV show? Dave says, sure, and appears on a show that Drake produced called Top Boy. This is where you've probably seen Dave. He then goes on to win a bunch of awards and top the charts with very good music. He's also an activist who's been speaking for and donating to Palestine, Congo, and many other conflicts before people even knew about them. So shout out to Dave and this other guy. He's pretty good too.
Thanks to mom.
Every drop of sweat counts for building your brain into the big, fat, fluffy brain that you really want. The more you exercise, the more change in your brain we noted, both your hippocampal function, prefrontal function, and mood. You were already getting benefit. You're already going twice a week. But the more you did, the more brain changes you got.
How does that change how I show up?
If you allow it to, should have a beautiful effect on your mindset. Your mindset around how often should I wake up 30 minutes early and do that walk before I start my day, or accept the invitation to go walk the dog with a neighbor. It's not an obligation. It is something that you're doing for yourself. It is going to have direct benefits on that ball of tofu, as you call it, in your head. It's going to make it work better. I think the most immediate thing that I benefit from every single day is the mood boost that you get from that serotonin, dopamine, noradrenaline that gets released every time you move your body.
I mean, it makes sense because every time I leave the gym, I feel so much better before I walked in.
Here she comes.
Ooh. Wow. Oh, wow. Bro, that's not far away. Still, but I think you have the best job on the planet.
Here is one of the most convincing Bigfoot encounters ever. A couple were in Port Renfrew, a small town in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, specifically on Vancouver Island, when they would have this encounter that they couldn't explain. The wife spots it first. She looked at her husband with her finger to her lip to indicate him to be quiet. And she pointed in the direction of the beast.
Ooh.
About 200 feet from them is a massive, unidentified creature. It has lightish colored fur and it has extremely broad shoulders. It seems it's trying to hide in the brush. Even though we can only see the top right portion of the creature, we can tell it's something massive and not any animal we know of. The couple recalls they first thought it was a bear, but realized it was more bipedal. And it also had way lighter fur than the black bears in the area. And it also had a cone-shaped head. They also later stated that the area near the creature had a musty smell to it. Definitely some convincing evidence.
Vancouver Island is not Vancouver. I think there's a bear.
The cost of living here is I can walk to Red Square in 30 minutes and I pay $500 a month for rent. That includes my electricity, water, heat, everything, sewage, trash, everything, $500 a month.
There's something that's so strange to me. Most Russians, almost everyone I know, they travel and they go places at night. They go to Turkey or Greece or Italy, and it blows my mind because in America, people go on cruise ships or they go to Mexico or they go from one state to the next state. And a lot of Americans don't go out of the country anymore. They're just not, there's no money for it, you know?
Where? Where are the homeless people? Where are the drug addicts?
You know, what is the average yearly salary there? Here in Indonesia is about $400. I mean, $400 a month.
Now, I don't know what the hell happened, but word on the street is yesterday motherfuckers was hitting licks on Chase Bank. There was some type of glitch or something. I don't know the logistics of it, but scammers were hitting crazy plays. I'm talking 30,000, 40,000, 50,000. Motherfuckers was hitting damn near a mil. That shit had all the scamming capitals going crazy. I'm talking Houston, Detroit, Atlanta, New York City. I seen videos of people rejoicing like they won the Super Bowl. This how you know this shit was serious, because Miles Bridges was asking for Chase accounts. Bro, you already made it out the hood and you're a millionaire in the NBA. What the hell are you scamming for? But the thing is though, everybody thought they were getting free money. Little do they know, that money gotta come from somewhere. So if you were giving motherfuckers your account to hit plays, bro, in a couple of days you're gonna be in for a rude awakening. Motherfuckers seem to have forgot what happened last year when the Cash App glitch was going around. They had people filing for Cash App bankruptcy. That's crazy. Same thing happened with DoorDash last year. Just for those people to wake up with 30,000 missing from their account.
Chase Bank just helped prisons get all this free labor. And the lost money from the glitch is covered by insurance.
Shopping at Costco right now. And look what I just found. What? $1,600.
Ooh.
And it's a freeze dryer. It comes with everything that Harvest Strike gives you. The pump, filter, oil, oxygen absorbers, bags. Holy cow. They only have the size small, but that is much cheaper than what they sell it for online at Harvest Strike.
How does it compare to the industrial freeze dryer that costs like $500,000? You know, it's crazy this technology went from factory size to a consumer's appliance in under 10 years.
Hey, y'all remember Amelia Earhart, that lady who went missing trying to fly around the world? Well, they might have figured out what happened to her. But see, Amelia Earhart had a problem. She went missing trying to fly around the world. Weren't you listening? Lock in. Now, this is a bigger deal than you may think, because a lot of people don't know this, but Amelia Earhart was famous. Think about it. It's the black and white photo times. Them folk was stupid back then. They said, Reginald. He said, huh? They said, woman no cook. She fly plane like man. Reginald said, no. But see, woman not only fly plane good, she broke records with her distance flights. They said, Reginald. He said, what? They said, woman fly plane really good. Reginald said, all right. So as you can imagine, when she disappeared, it was a huge thing. The fact that they're still trying to look for her like 100 years later should tell you how big this thing was, but there's a little more to the story. Because see, she didn't just start flying a plane and disappear. No. First of all, she had a navigator with her. Second of all, she was in constant, his name is Fred, by the way, constant communication with the flying people and said she was lost. He said, girl, where your navigator at? She said, he lost too. He said, girl, who lost? The maps. Okay, we lost. Well, hold on, it wasn't entirely his fault. The plane was so loud that it was hard for them to communicate, so they had to pass notes. As they were trying to figure out their location, translate it over, all this was taking time. Planes need fuel. Plane navigation people were trying to help them as best as they could, but the signal suddenly cut out. That being said, the navigation people were aware of their general location, so they called the Navy. Remember, she was famous. Everyone went out, searched extensively, but they couldn't find any trace of them. Now, I know what you're thinking. It's been 100 years, though. Submarines, super science stuff. Well, you may have been lied to. This is the Pacific Ocean. It's big. Really big. In fact, you can fit every piece of land inside of it. In fact, the Earth is 1 part Pacific Ocean, 1 part land, and 1 part all other water. And not a lot is known about it. In fact, they find 2,000 new species every single year. But the public doesn't really know all that, so they just came up with theories. They said, well, they haven't found her because the Japanese took her. The Japanese said, now why am I in it? They said, shut up, you know why. She was a spy and y'all took her. Japanese were like, Americans said, Reginald, get the stick. Other people pop up with more theories saying, yo, chill on the Japanese. They actually found her. She just changed her identity like Tupac and them. Her name is Irene. The lady Irene said, I'm not Amelia. They said, yes, you are. She said, no, I'm not. They keep harassing her, so she sues. Because this wasn't just like random claims. They're writing books about this. Now, they finally found bones on an island close to where they lost communication with her. People said, Lord, she must have got eaten by the giant crabs that live on that island. Now, to be fair, the crabs are pretty giant. Like, really giant. Now, on the way to bring back the bones, they lost them. They just said, my fault, we lost them. So people went back to government cover-up, Japanese conspiracy, until finally, in 2024, scientists have found sonar or something that looks like her plane. Now, there are many people skeptical of this, saying that it could be anything. And they're right. But the person who found this is also the person who found the Titanic. He said, I do this. It's also within 100 miles of where they lost contact with her. But we won't know until they pull it out late this year or early next year. What do you think, though? Does that look like a match? The scientific team is so confident they already started making a documentary about it. And with it may come closure to her family and all the people she may have been an inspiration to. But I like to believe she was a brave woman that got to do what she loved until the very end. The end.
He found the Titanic and Amelia Earhart's plane. Bro, it's a legendary run.
These are the 5 times that video games actually killed people. Number 5, the chainsaw rage quit. Pavel Matveev was a 15-year-old boy from Russia who was playing a computer game that his mum bought. And basically he kept losing, so he grabbed a chainsaw, went out into his yard, fired up the saw, and, removed himself from the planet. Jesus Christ. Number 4, feeding the wrong baby. In 2010, a South Korean couple were obsessed with an online game called Prius Online, where you basically raise and nurture a child, and they became so addicted that they stopped taking care of their real-life baby, who they only fed once a day between 12-hour stretches at the internet cafe. The child sadly passed away from malnutrition, and the parents were arrested 5 months later. Number 3, the gamer who forgot to eat. In 2005, a 28-year-old South Korean man decided to immerse himself in a 50-hour marathon of StarCraft at an internet cafe. The problem is, he forgot to do the basics, like eating, drinking, and eventually breathing. After 2 days of non-stop gaming, Lee collapsed and died from heart failure and dehydration. Number 2, give me back my items. In 2005, a 41-year-old gamer from China, Chao, discovered that his online buddy, Zhu, had stole their jointly owned Dragon Saber from the game Legend of Mir 3 for $870. Chao was of course outraged and tried reporting it to the police for theft, but the police said the sword wasn't real, so it didn't actually qualify as theft, so he stabbed Zhu in the chest while he was sleeping, killing him on the spot. Chao was sentenced to death. And number one, and fair warning, this one's quite heartbreaking, the Mortal Kombat incident. In 2013, a 19-year-old man named Lamar Roberts and his girlfriend were babysitting a 7-year-old girl and playing Mortal Kombat when they decided to start imitating moves from the game. So Roberts, who was drunk, started kicking, hitting, and slamming the girl until she stopped breathing. He was sentenced for 36 years.
You know, I used to be a hardcore gamer. That's how I messed up my neck. So I kind of understand. Hey, but the chainsaw one is epic. I'm not even upset. I'm impressed.
Squid Game is supposedly based on a real thing, and it's censored everywhere.
No way.
Yeah, so it's called Brothers Home. Back in 1986, South Korea, just like Squid Game, random people were captured and put in white vans. Literally exact same plot. They went to their house police. They were accused of crimes they weren't even committed. You're coming with us to this penitentiary.
Yeah.
Once they get there, they're locked up. Concrete walls, nobody can escape. It's literally the same thing. The beds, the placement. Wow. People's names were changed into numbers, and they all slept together in one room. Squid Games was you woke up and you played a game.
Yeah.
But this one is you woke up and you were forced to do labor, but the first person to stop or run away was... Because I think South Korea was supposed to hold Asian games, and they wanted to clean up the streets. The homeless people. No! All the mentally handicapped people.
No
That's what
way.
started. And they...
This is wow. Cannot believe it's real.
Threatened to investigate us, which was bad enough, right? They actually did it.
What? So Google informed you that you're being surveilled 5 years after the investigation started.
Chris Wray, the director of the FBI, and Rod Rosenstein, the deputy attorney general then of the DOJ, were tasked with helping us at Congress, where I ran the Russiagate investigation, to expose Russiagate. We went to them and said, look, you guys didn't do this. Help us expose it. And they both doubled down. You know what they did? They launched an investigation against me, the senior congressional investigator for Russiagate on the House Intelligence Committee, and 6 other staffers. They used grand jury subpoenas to get my personal information, my banking information, my emails, my cell phone information, and everything else. I didn't find out till 5 years later when Google called me and said, hey, our 5-year notification has lapsed. We can now tell you the DOJ surveilled you. And we had to turn over documents. So that became that we exploded that into a federal lawsuit that's still ongoing in the DOJ and FBI. But those two guys.
Hold on. What? So Google informed you that you're being surveilled 5 years after the investigation started.
Right.
What, I mean, what more did they tell you?
They're not allowed to say anything, but that you can be informed now since it's 5 years later. So as a former national security prosecutor, I know you don't just go to Google. You go to every provider. You go to all the telecoms. You go to the bank. You go to everybody. If you're going to run an investigation, that's what you do. But these two guys who were running the FBI and DOJ sat in a room with the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee and lied to our faces. They threatened to investigate us, which was bad enough, right? They actually did it. And then these two guys would get exposed, for Rod Rosenstein specifically, for signing a FISA that was totally bogus. And we've caught Chris Wray lying time and time again as the director of the FBI. Put these guys over here for a second. Gina Haspel, who was the director of the CIA, was London station chief in England when Russiagate kicked off. Under the rule of law in America, if you want the Federal Bureau of Investigation to launch an investigation overseas, you have to get permission from the head intel rep. In England, it's the the station chief. So she allowed Russiagate to occur on British soil, where there was a barroom operation to try to record some nub into spilling the beans on Donald Trump. And they would use that to launch the whole Russiagate offensive. Gina Haspel would later become Trump's CIA director. And then when these guys got out of the administration, do you know where Gina Haspel and Rod Rosenstein work today?
Where?
At Christopher Wray's old law firm as senior named partners, making 7 and 8 figures.
What?
How is this going to get broken up? They seem so deep.
Yeah.
I mean, you just mentioned they're embedded in politics. They're embedded in mainstream media. They're embedded in intelligence agencies. They are former top leadership of the military that's now embedded within the military industrial complex companies.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's how many people are involved in this?
Thousands.
In the deep state.
Thousands.
How would you even begin to dismantle
Wow.
it?
Well, I think the first Trump administration was the beachhead, right? People were just like, you guys are full of it. And we continued to put out the truth. And years later, people are catching up to a lot of that truth saying, wait a second, you guys weren't lying back then. People being the American public. That's the weapon we need. And you guys weren't lying about impeachment. They literally made up a piece of a phone call to launch a presidential impeachment and then put me in the middle of it by making up a meeting that never occurred. But it sounded dirty at the time. And then when we finally released the transcript, everybody was like, oh yeah, there was no quid pro quo. Nothing illegal happened here.
I wish this was on mainstream TV for the people who don't go on TikTok or YouTube. People don't know.
You know that friend your girlfriend or boyfriend tells you not to worry about, meanwhile they're really close? Well, Jada Pinkett had one of those friends, and his name was Tupac Shakur. See, Will Smith had a problem.
Will Smith
he
had
just
a
started
problem.
dating this girl named Jada Pinkett, and she just keeps talking about Tupac. Will Smith said, why you keep talking about Tupac? She said, oh, I forgot to tell you, he's just a friend. Very close friends. In fact, they went back to their high school days where all he would talk about when he got home was Jada. But it gets deeper than that. Tupac was the first person to believe in Jada. In fact, when he got famous, he got her first acting role. She then gets a little bigger and catches the eye of Will Smith, who was like a pretty big star at the time. Will Smith said, well, that all makes sense. You see, Will, not that bad. Now, I'm gonna show you the rest of this picture. And here's where it starts to get wicked. See, the ladies love Tupac. At this point, he's like the bad boy #1 rapper. Jada talking about him a lot. But damn, they also hang out, talk about each other in interviews. But Tupac says in the interview that Jada will always be a friend. He also goes on to say that she's his heart and they'll grow old together. And see, the thing that a lot of people don't know about Tupac is he was very passionate. That's what made him such a famous rapper, because he tended to put passion into every line he said. Will said, that makes sense. It does. Now I'm gonna show you another picture. Because even though Will believed that nothing had happened between them, it was how close they were that bothered him. On top of that, Will rapped as well, and Tupac was everything Will wasn't in the rap world. It's kind of like your Jason Terry and your girlfriend go, hey, I'm finna go eat with my best friend LeBron. LeBron walk in and go, what's good?
What?
Hell no. And so Will felt very insecure and just avoided Tupac. But then things get a little awkward. According to Tupac's friends, Jada asked Tupac not to put hands on Will because they were dating. Tupac felt insulted, saying, why would you think I would do that? But Jada and Tupac are still fine after this. Tupac goes to jail, and according to Jada, he proposes to her, but she says no because she felt that he just wanted someone there with him, to which she says she was always going to be there anyway. Tupac then gets married to his girlfriend Keisha, and Jada kind of felt unneeded, so they stopped talking as much. Oh, y'all want to see the picture? Okay, now to be fair, this picture is not as bad as this one. All right, now let me finish my story. See, another reason they stopped talking though is because after Tupac got out of prison, he started getting into the street life more. Kinda. It's more complicated than that. I'll save that story for another day. But it ultimately led to his passing eventually, which led to Jada crying for 45 days straight, showing Will how much she actually loved him. And it angered Will, but more like upset him when he saw her react that way towards another person. He says that he wanted to be that for her, and well, he eventually does become one of the #1 actors in Hollywood. So now you can probably understand why some people believe that Will Smith slapped Chris Rock so he could prove something to his wife. But at the end of the day, Tupac and Jada seem to have a very special relationship, and Will said he came to terms with it a long time ago.
This guy became a billionaire from one idea. It's called 7 Friends in 10 Days. So basically, Chamath was an employee at Facebook, and he found out that if a user got 7 friends in 10 days, they never left Facebook. It's what's called a 99% positive predictive indicator. What's fascinating about this is that means that if you get X, then you get money for life. The wild part is every business has one of these. People just don't spend time looking for it. Amazon, one-click checkout. Walmart, first time low price. I could go on, but very few do the thing that finds the 7 friends. You're not going to be like that though, so you become a Billy like Chamath.
Dude became a billionaire because he invested in Bitcoin. From it, he made his millions, then reinvested to make his billion. Dude was at Facebook making 6 figures.
Eight-legged freaks in real life? Nah, count me out. This is the Jabafo fee, or the
Congolese giant spider. The first modern sightings of these cryptids were reported in the Congolese jungle in 1850, and they're said to be highly dangerous and venomous. Anecdotal stories talk about them being similar to trapdoor spiders, where they dig out a nest, typically under shallow tree roots. They'll then fill the nearby area with a massive and almost invisible web to catch its prey, leaving threads of silk as tripwire to alert the Jabba. It then chases its prey, typically birds or larger animals like antelope, into its web. It's said that they grow so massive that their leg span grows up to 5 to 6 feet in diameter. They're said to be brown in color with a purple mark on their abdomen. There was one account of a British man, Arcade Lloyd, and his wife who were traveling through the Congolese jungle in 1938 when they saw something massive crossing the trail in front of them. At first they thought it was a cat or a monkey, but they soon realized that it was this massive spider that had these 3-foot-long legs. More recently, in 2013, there was a night vision camera set up at a watering hole in Mozambique, which caught something that people are saying is a Jabba fofi, but it's not clear just what it is. But check it out.
What is that?
But it's probably not real, right? It's fine. Everything's fine.
On January 2014, Boutros Syndicate captured a very strange phenomenon in the middle of a frozen pond somewhere in Europe. He was walking his dog and it was a very cold day, and he spotted this bizarre water hole in the middle of a frozen pond, and inside of it, well, this is what he captured on camera. Check this out.
A hot spring, maybe? Ooh. No. No, thank you.
What the fuck? I got in contact with a woman that worked at Kellogg's in the accounting department. She said she saw checks from the grocery stores chains like Publix pays Kellogg's like $7 million. Winn-Dixie might pay them $4 million. And she sees those checks when they come in. So I told her that if she would just take one of those, she said I could easily get one of those checks. So with that plan in mind, like having that information, I invested like almost $35,000 setting up a corporation, opening up an account, putting checks through of 10, 15 grand, priming it for the million, like going through the 30-day or I think it was 30-day grace period, because when I got the $1 million check, I would have waited for it to clear, setting up other accounts in order to funnel the money out. Like I laid out a complete plan in my mind and I set everything up.
Because you can't just open up an account on a Monday and deposit a $7 million check and not think that they're not going to hold it. What was the corporation? It was a variation of Kellogg's, right? It was like Kellogg's.
Well, no, delivery, Kellogg's delivery. And so I was in the midst of the prime and all this is playing out in my mind. So I'm telling her, okay, look, because she wanted a house. So I said, look, I'm going to straight out buy. Like I had a whole plan. I'm going to buy you a house straight out. It's like, it's going to look like you have a mortgage, but you don't. You're going to really be paying a company that I own, or I'm going to put on paper that you're paying. You know what I'm saying? Like
that way, if they come and look at you, it looks like you bought a house with I bought a $300,000 house with a $270,000 mortgage. I didn't have $300,000. What are you talking about? I got a mortgage.
$7 million. Yeah. So I'm plotting all this out, and I'm talking to her the whole time.
You were going to buy her $6 million house?
No, not $6 million. I said, I forgot what I just said, but
I said 300,000. You said it was $6 million.
No, it wasn't even 300. It was like 280,000. We were gonna get her a house.
Right.
I was gonna deposit the money in an account that was actually gonna be paying her. So I said it's gonna look like you're working, and like everything. Like my mind had it all laid out.
Right.
And so when I talked to her, because we had even flew up to Michigan to visit her. So when one time I'm talking to her, so I'm telling her, okay. So once you give me the check, like once I deposit it and I determine to hold, you need to go ahead and put in your 2 weeks notice. And she's like, oh, I'm not going to quit. I said, but you're about to have over $1 million. She goes, yeah, but I like my job. What am I going to do if I don't have that job? I mean, I've been working there for like, I think it was like 8-9 years. I like the people I work with, blah, blah. And I'm trying to tell her, I said, listen, if they come and investigate that paper and they pull you in, and if you give them the inkling that you did this, then like in my mind, it's like you're not going to even be ready for the pressure. They're like, oh yeah, this bitch took that check.
Right.
You're not going to be ready for the pressure. And if you cave to the pressure, you're going to jail. And if you go to, in my mind, if you go to jail, you know who I am. You also know that the person that introduced us, right? Like, I don't want the domino effect.
Right. There's a way for them to track it down. A smart detective is going to figure out who I am.
But she said, I'm not quitting. I took everybody that knew her to put pressure, and she said she wasn't going to quit. I said, we're not going to do it.
I call Cap. He doesn't even know the details.
My name is Jessica Jackson. I am 37 years old. I made $73,000 as a wind turbine technician in B County, Texas. Climbing the wind turbine is not as scary as you would think. Here at my site, we have 80-meter and 105-meter towers. It takes about 5 to 10 minutes to get up there. I'd say the hardest part about this job is climbing up the tower. It's the best views from up here. Office views like no other. Your wind turbine is kind of like your car. It's going to have its maintenances, its oil changes, cooling system checks, communication checks. It's got motors, pumps. All those things need to be changed out, checked, and we do that on a daily basis to keep those turbines running and producing power. I'm extremely grateful for this job. I love what I do. If I was doing something else, I could tell you that I probably would not be as happy.
Jessica, you need to be paid way more. But thank you for your dedication. You should be making at least $200K.
Something was trapped in this storm drain in Brazil, and when the fire department arrived to pry it open, they found a very polite capybara patiently waiting for assistance. Nobody knows how this large rodent found himself in such a pickle, but luckily a passerby had noticed him barking and called for help. It did take a bit of work to get the storm drain cover removed, and once it was off, the capybara really didn't want to bother anyone further, but he did end up needing a little bit of help from the firefighters to get out. Luckily, he was in good health and he was able to return to his habitat with all of his friends. And while it is uncommon for capybaras to find themselves in storm drains, they are very common above ground in the area. And while some are more shy, they're known in general for making friends with just about any other animal. They'll generally accept anyone into their circle as long as they don't feel threatened, like this orange cappy cat who lives with a herd of capybaras at Zoo Negara in Malaysia. They're also quite smart, and those that live in more populated areas have even been observed using crosswalks to cross roads. I'm Jen, and I post something positive every day.
Wow.
I told you, pick up your let's go, have breakfast, McDonald's, don't be late 10:30, they don't give you eggs. Eggs McNuggets. Do you understand what does it mean? Eggs McNuggets.
Man, you better not be late for the egg McNuggets.
The Rosicrucians. This secret society started by Christian Rosencrans. He was brought in by the church, raised a monk, but he always questioned the church. And on his journey, he went to Israel, Damascus, and different parts of the Middle East, and came back. He's like, what I've learned is this access to a hidden knowledge. And he started this movement. What they would practice, the secrets of the universe, how to heal people, science, astrology, enchantments, alchemy, and how to access the realm to which true knowledge lies. And everything that they teach is exactly what the Watchers introduced to man. There's been a lot of really important people that have been in this order.
No way.
Yeah, supposedly Leonardo da Vinci, Sir Isaac Newton, Benjamin Franklin. The speculation is that they are involved in how everything is running in the world.
Yeah.
Accessing this ancient knowledge to bring harmony amongst Earth.
It's not very harmonious right now on Earth.
Exactly, because it's like, well, do you think they're getting their knowledge from good things or bad things?
Demons.
Sharks don't want to eat people. No interest.
Right.
Polar bears, tigers, crocodiles want to eat people.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Shark's just being a shark. Anytime you enter into the ocean, you are signing a mental waiver of like, hey, I'm going into something else's domain.
Yeah.
It's the only time, especially in like North America, where we're not at the top of the food chain. If you're swimming in the ocean off the coast of North America, you are no longer the apex, right? There are things above you in the food chain that can eat you, and you just have to be okay with that. And sharks aren't trying to eat you. Most of the time, they're coming around doing what's called an investigatory bite, where they're just going, is this food bite? Because that's how they taste something. Go, oh, yuck, I don't like human. It's gross, you know? And that's it. But that bite is enough to kill people. So that's the problem.
And is there a thing, because it does feel like we'll just hear about, oh, yeah, this is a bad summer for sharks.
Right.
Is that real, or is it just...
When's the last summer that wasn't a bad summer for sharks?
True.
You might have heard about this year. Like, the water in Florida was like 91 degrees in like May.
Right.
The water was like too hot. So when that happens, it speeds up the shark's metabolism. So when they get warmer, they need to eat more. Now, at the same time, when the sea gets too warm, all the bait fish disappear. They go really deep. So now you've got a bunch of hungrier sharks because their metabolisms are sped up, looking for food, more than they regularly would, more hungry than they regularly are in the dead of summer when everybody's going to the beach. So it's just this like confluence of situations where it's like, I'm hungry, I'm looking for food. And then you have guys like splashing in the water, playing football, you know, or a chick with like some jewelry on or something, like shiny things. And the sharks are just like, oh, that could be bait. Boom. And they go and bite it. And that's the problem. It's like
So they're not attacking. They're literally just thinking that it's food.
They're just hoping. They're like, oh, is this a food? Oh, no, it's not. Gross.
Did the shark tell you that they don't want to eat you?
Welcome to the news. I'm your host, Kellerman, and here's some of the going on in the world that you might want to know about. In Brazil, controversial sitting President Nicolas Maduro has declared that Christmas will be moved to October 1st this year.
No way.
Which seems like an attempt to win public favor, but what? In North Korea, Kim Jong-un has ordered the execution of 20 to 30 officials who he's held responsible for failing to prevent the Chagang province from flooding earlier this year. The floods killed 4,000 people and displaced around 15,000. Hundreds of thousands of Israelis protested against their government in Tel Aviv and Jerusalem, demanding a hostage release deal be made after 6 hostages were confirmed to have been executed by Hamas over the weekend.
Wow.
A Russian missile strike on Poltava in Ukraine hit a military academy and a nearby hospital, killing over 50 people and injuring over 270. And then another Russian airstrike on Lviv killed at least 7 people and injured 30 others. And in the United States, a 14-year-old shot and killed 2 of his fellow students and 2 teachers and injured as many as 30 others before being apprehended at Appalachia High School in Georgia. Follow me if you give a shit.
Thanks for the news, Mr. Kellerman.
Hey, don't go to the Disneyland in China anymore because Chinese theme parks will make you think you and Mickey Mouse would want to visit. Today, I'm at a place called Romance Show. Let's go experience it. Let's go. Here, you can not only watch the 10,000 people leave theater, but also experience romantic stories from different Chinese dynasties. There are also attractions like haunted houses, dinosaurs, and the sci-fi world that kids will love. 一天你们大概接待多少游客？大概这一个项目的话，都差不多3万。This place welcomes tens of thousands of visitors every day, but you will see very few foreigners. So, if you take photos here and show them on social media, you will definitely be the coolest person among your friends. This show is called the Romance Show, and many people come here just to see it. It's described as a must-see performance in lifetime. In just 1 hour, you can see 6,000 years of China's brilliant civilization. Oh, this show was amazing, but the only downside is that the story was told by Chinese, so you'd better hire a Chinese college student as your translator. If you are unsure how to hire a Chinese translator, you can tell me privately by message, okay? You can ask the translator to show your room, but please remember, don't ask the translator help you with the business purchase. Want to know the reason? I will tell you in the next videos.
What?
This part is called 10,000 people leave theater. They can welcome so many visitors in a day, they must be making a lot of money. But when you think of it, they have hundreds of actors performing amazing shows every day. It's really not easy to manage. You know, my team have less than 20 people, and I already feel I need to improve my management skills. For me, your Chinese friend Roger.
This is next level.
This interview with Lady Gaga.
Lady Gaga.
Look at the eyes on this. Watch the jawline as well. And listen to the questions that the interviewer asks.
Yes, I did. Andy's so funny, and Justin Timberlake's hosting. So
Right. Have you met Justin before?
I have met Justin before, yes.
And you're gonna do? Are you doing a skit with him? We heard you're doing a skit.
I believe we are.
Are you doing with Justin and Andy, or are you just doing it?
You'll have to watch to find out.
Very artistic, like the video, and your clothes are. And as a guy, how do you walk? Do you have to learn how to walk? You get an outfit, and you're like, I gotta learn how to walk in these shoes.
Well, do I have to? No, I'm a professional.
Okay. And
You
you're.
need to learn how to walk in those.
I did.
Lookers.
Exactly. They're logging boots. Walmart specials.
I love Walmart.
So do I.
My album is going to be sold at Walmart.
Good girl. All right. Your outfits are one of a kind. You don't. When I look at your stuff, when I see you performing and stuff, I think Salvador Dali and MC Escher. What do you want to do with your outfits? Where do they all go? Where does all the creativity go when you're done with it?
They go to that planet Goat that I was in the Born This Way video, the government-owned alien territory in space.
Did you see it? Did you see her eyes everywhere and her jaw swinging side to side? And is it just me, or did you hear the interviewer ask? What was it like as a guy learning how to walk in shoes? What? One last thing. Where's Planet Goat? I wonder what Planet Goat is. Does anybody know?
No, I don't know.
Can someone in the comment section tell me where Planet Goat is?
Anyone else notice the interviewer say good girl when she mentioned her album being sold at Walmart?
This is the case of Stephanie Malgoza, the college student who killed 2 people and proceeded to complain the whole time of how this could happen to her. 10:16 p.m. Authorities are called to the scene on 2208 Main Street in front of a bar called Full Throttle, literally right in front of a bar. There's been an accident. Right when they get there, they see this Dodge dark car parked in the middle of the road. It's red, and there's pretty substantial damage to the front of it. There's this massive large dent to the front hood. There seems to be what appears to be blood splatter. A girl named Stephanie Malgoza is standing off to the side, and she seems relatively uninjured, and honestly, not even in a state of shock. The officers approach her, and she tells them, I called as soon as this shit happened. I go to Bradley. Why would this shit happen to me? The officer asks her if anyone took her information, and she starts pointing at him. Her finger is pretty close to his chest. Your friend took my license. Your friend took my license. The officer asks her, were you leaving the bar, or were you? I was coming here. It's a little strange how comfortable she is right now. The way she's talking to the officers, it reminds me of how someone would talk to their mom. When a mom tells you, why did you do that? And you almost half whine, you told me to. I was doing what you I was coming here. I was coming here.
Were you leaving the bar? Or were you coming this down the road?
I was coming here.
Okay.
You know, I had just gotten my night started.
Do you have anything illegal on you? Yes, I have marijuana in my purse. Have you had any marijuana tonight? No?
Is it legal there?
No.
Oh, completely illegal.
Yeah.
Wow.
He has her put her purse on the hood of the cop car, and she's still holding some items in her hands. He asks her to put them down, and she says, my vape too? She later asks, I graduated in 4 weeks. Is this gonna affect anything? She gets a full pat down before they put her in the backseat of the cop car. And the police, they don't want to ask her more questions right now. Right now, their priority are the 2 people. Because near that red car, that's Stephanie's car, there are 2 people laying covered in blood, dead on the ground near the car. Right there at the scene, there are contorted bodies. Even though her car is red, it's pretty easy to see how much blood has splattered all over the windshield and the front bumper of her car. There is blood quite literally everywhere. There is a woman laying about 30 feet from the red car, which is quite far. But her leg, part of her leg has been completely severed and is attached to the front of Stephanie's vehicle. It's stuck on the front bumper of the car, sticking out the front grille. There's another man laying about 90 feet from the car, and the officers are seen trying to perform CPR on their bodies, but they're not moving. Their bodies are in a really bad state. It's stated that at least both of them had partial leg amputations as well as full body blunt force trauma all over.
And she knew that.
Yeah, she's at the crime scene. She sees this.
And
She sees the two
is
people.
acting completely
She's
unfazed.
like, I called 911 right when this shit happened. Both Paul and his girlfriend Andrea were found deceased.
Drunkenness is not an excuse.
There's over $10 million in beef in here. The best steaks in the country. Oh. Go down and walk around.
Have you tried Kobe beef? That's the best steak.
Once you get addicted to that feeling and you get assaulted by sweets and nicotines and alcohols and all of these other choices, they will not seem as empowering as you think they are. So wake up tomorrow, do 3 rounds of 30 breaths, wake up with the sun, contact the surface of the earth if you can, and take a cold shower before you get dressed and go to work. I want you to concentrate on how you feel after you have just done that little free practice. And I want you to tap into how good your body feels when you're done doing that. And then I want you to make that a habit.
Okay.
What do you mean everything is God? There's no failure. There's no wrong. Whenever something doesn't go my way, it's because it wasn't supposed to. So when I say everything is God, you trust God. You think of the positives, not the negatives. If it didn't happen, my brother told me, if one door closes, if you sit there and you stare at that one door, you're not looking around. 1,000 other doors have opened. All you gotta do is look around. You staring at the door like a dog stares at a tennis ball. It's like, no. When I say everything is God, I'm saying everything is not all bad. Sometimes the things that you think is failure is actually successes. How do you interpret not just the business, but life? There's always good and bad.
Are we talking about the same God though? Celebrities speak of God, but it's not the one true God, the God of Abraham, Jesus Christ. We need to just watch out for this.
Can you show us how you can break a barrier, a musical barrier, go from one genre to another?
Yeah, of course. I mean, we were just messing around, being that we're at Juilliard, you know, Beethoven, you know. But you know, the blues.
Ooh, that was smooth.
The gospel.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
It is
I had a
amazing.
585 on my SAT. They give you 400 for putting your name on the paper. I guessed ABACADA. I did abacadabra all the way down. True story. Swear to God. I didn't care because there was a class trip that same day. I wanted to go Great Adventure. At the moment, I said, damn, maybe I should have applied myself. Maybe I should have did different. When I saw all my friends get their test scores back and they were ecstatic. 800s, 900s, 960s. Everybody's going to college. I felt like the biggest idiot in the world. Because the same people that I went and rushed to go to Great Adventure with, they're taking their SAT the week before. So I'm the only one going to community college. Everybody else off to Villanova, Temple University, Drexel University. I just got left behind. Lesson learned. Any opportunity given should be taken serious from this point on. I don't look down on those moments. You take those moments, you make the best of them.
That's good.
Because they're life lessons. It's that simple.
There's a lot of wisdom behind comedians. The story of Kevin Hart is mistake, fall, climb, and now he's one of the highest paid comedians of all time.
And he's probably the only one who's made multi-millions out of that class.
Arsha. We continue to keep Babylon safe from the deviants. More people have come to seek refuge. It is now the largest city on Earth.
The Eternal serving the missions across the galaxies will learn from your success.
Thank you. I respect your grand design, Arshan. But I have noticed something special about this planet. And I fear that maybe this time, the cost...
Do not become attached to this planet. You must focus on the true purpose of your mission.
I understand.
Una bruja, Mary.
This creepy video is going viral right now, and it comes from San Juan in the Dominican Republic. And in it you can see an old lady with long muddy hands. But in the full clip, they question her on whether she's a witch and why she fell from the sky. However, she doesn't seem to answer and talks under her breath. But this next clip is relatively new, as it comes out of Romania, and you can see what many believe is a witch caught on security camera. Now the Reddit user that posted this video alleges that this driveway was enclosed and that there was no way in or out without scaling an incredibly high wall. But let me know what you think.
Me coming out of my room when the Wi-Fi turns off.
A lot of people don't even think this movie is scary, and I think I know why. The director, Lee Daniels, was really iffy about even making the film. His mom thought he was going to be cursed after doing it. Andrea prayed every single day before the scenes, and they even had a preacher on set the whole entire time.
Is it true y'all had a preacher on set every day on purpose?
Every day.
Wow.
Are you kidding me? We were terrified. I mean, like, I don't know. My mother didn't want me to do this movie.
You know that one scene when Ebony started speaking in tongues? Well, it wasn't even in the script.
I rebuke you, Satan. In the name of Jesus.
He's fighting the devil, where she just breaks out in tongue. And the AD, my white AD, was like, okay, so this isn't scripted. Do we cut? Do we do whatever? You know, and she's speaking in tongue. And I'm like, this is God working. We're going to let it, until she's tired.
Oh, you really went into speaking in tongue on set like that? Oh, wow, okay.
That was her.
We also can't forget about Glenn's iconic scene that made the whole movie feel like a parody.
This book is from 1589. It is a book on demonology. Written by none other than James the First, or King James. The man who would have the Bible printed that carries his name. He wrote a book on demonology and witchcraft in 1589.
Have y'all heard this about King James? King James was into witchcraft. So I Googled it. This is the first thing that came up. King James sought to prove the existence of witchcraft to other Christians through biblical teachings. Demonology.
They believe to fight demons, you must learn their name. These were tools to combat them.
Found out that birds twittering in the morning will help all plant life, like the antennas, because they're giving off a frequency which the plants absorb, and it's a good frequency. The blossoms start opening up. All sorts of wonderful things happen to birds chirping. The rooster crowing the first thing in the morning. It's a wonderful thing. Nature will respond.
The birds wake up, the plants up.
The telomere drug, it's like a pill, right? And it's in trials right now. And it is a anti-aging, cancer-reducing, chronic pain cure. And did a trial run on dogs. And this one lady who had this dog, I think the dog was like 12 years old. It was dying of cancer. She's like, can I just try it on my dog? She said within a week, dog's up running around, cancer-free. But what's crazy is that they did this interview, and by the time the interview came out, the CEO dead.
What?
The CEO died, and on their official statement, the family was like, we do not wish to disclose of how he died.
Spooky.
I smell murder.
Yeah, maybe. But now they're going to start doing human trials mid-2025.
Sign me up.
Isn't this like the beginning of I Am Legend?
Oh,
It was
yeah,
like a
it's a
pill that could
miracle
cure.
drug.
Yeah, had that miracle drug, and then all of a sudden we're all zombies.
I hope I have Will Smith next to me.
They will never release a miracle cure for cancer. Big Pharma won't allow it.
I know that a lot of us are still getting used to the idea of drones being capable of delivering payloads of thermite over enemy positions on the battlefield, but there's more footage coming out today of the same thing. And it looks kind of like what you would picture a fairy from Zelda, A Link to the Past, flying over, positions, dropping its hot, fiery fairy dust all over your battle position. It is par for the course when it comes to technology that people are going to find new and creative ways to employ that technology to give them an advantage on the battlefield. And I think that in the coming days, weeks, months, years, we're going to continue to see more innovative ways of people using drones to do things that they don't necessarily need a human person to be there employing. Because at the end of the day, why put yourself in harm's way doing something when you can just send a drone out that costs you a few $100 and do the same thing with that? It'll be interesting to see more footage of this coming out in the coming days.
Almost certain there's a war crime.
Y'all had a preacher on
Yeah,
the
we
set
did, yeah.
that prayed every day, and you prayed with the group.
I'm not into scary movies, but if I was, any movie set that needs a priest is enough for me not to watch it.
Nowadays, everything has spirits attached to them. That's why you need to cover yourself, your loved ones, your properties with the blood of Christ.
There were all these beings, all these civilizations. Why isn't there more proof out there?
We have a lot of proof. Just travel to the 33rd degree parallel of the Earth, and you'll find megalithic city after megalithic city as you go around the globe. At certain points on that 33rd degree parallel, because of the magnetic field from the Earth there, they've harnessed the power of that, and they built megalithic cities all around that 33rd degree parallel. And these sites, when you go to them and you go visit them in person like I have, you begin to realize how magnificent the architecture is and how incredible the technology must have been to move these things. Stones, that some of them are 15, 20 tons. Some of these stones, we don't even have machines today that can move one of these stones, which are the evidence laying right before our eyes all over planet Earth. We just have chosen to ignore it because mainstream won't acknowledge it.
This guy is hilarious.
Tesla just quickly and quietly built one of the largest supercomputers in the world. It's essentially a gigantic GPU, and this little building right there is the cooling facility, basically a big cooling fan. They're just stacking hundreds of thousands of NVIDIA GPUs together in super clusters. But why are they doing this? Tesla is on a mission to essentially build a giant brain. They're literally calling it the Tesla Cortex. See, Tesla cars have cameras on them, and what happens is all that video data from those cameras streams into these giant supercomputers, and those computers process those images and feed them into the neural network. So
Wow.
Tesla's AI is learning from real world videos that the Tesla cars, every time you drive them, are streaming into these computers. So it takes billions of frames from these videos to train the neural network. That's why they want to increase the horsepower and make these big giant supercomputers to process all this information quickly. Tesla cars don't just use the video to maneuver around objects. They use the data from these cameras to predict where people might be coming from, or where cars might be coming from, or the curvature of the roads. The Tesla models predict what's going to happen just like a human brain does. So essentially what Tesla's trying to do is emulate a human brain. Now a lot of companies like Waymo are using LiDAR for their self-driving cars, but there's only limited amounts of information with LiDAR. But with real cameras that see just like our eyes see, you get way more data. Tesla's cars are going to be able to look at people's facial expressions walking down the street, see if they turn their head, and see if they might go into the road or not. It'll be able to predict where people are walking, how people are walking in the future. This is like what humans do, right? When you're driving, you're making predictions about what people are doing, what other cars are doing. So they really want to emulate a human brain and put it into the car. And the next step is to take those chips, which are trained by all that data from all those supercomputers processing it, and put it into their robots. So robots will be able to predict what we do based on our facial expressions, based on our motions, our movements, based on things in their environments, just like we experience the world. And this is why I say that things are going to be happening quickly in the next 5 years, because there's so much progress, there's so much horsepower going into this. And people don't believe me, and that's okay, but there's a lot of companies racing for AI, and I think that's why we're going to see a huge explosion of intelligence driving the next revolution, kind of like the Industrial Revolution.
Fine, I'll buy Tesla stock tomorrow.
This woman lived for 2 years at the top of a tree, 200 feet off the ground, without once coming down. In 1997, a major Californian company started cutting down an ancient forest with trees thousands of years old to manufacture chairs. At 23, Julia Hill alone decided to fight against this madness. The company intimidated her by sending helicopters, cutting her ropes, sending bands, and burning rubber to make it hard for her to breathe. Despite this, she endured several hurricanes, storms, and other natural disasters. Later, the firm that had been financially supporting her stopped its assistance. Despite these challenges, Julia did not give up. Her friends and sympathetic strangers continued to bring her food and fuel for her stove. Finally, after 738 days of grueling challenges, the company agreed to leave the trees alone. A few years later, the company went bankrupt. If you ever feel like giving up, remember this girl. Comment respect if you think she deserves it. If you're not following the Biz Thoughts project, you're probably never going to see us again. But if you are, congrats. You're on a journey of continuous growth.
This is what we all need to do now. Stand up to the bullies of our governments. We need unity. Unite, not divide.
Anunnaki, y'all. That's the Anunnaki. Come on, that's Anunnaki, bro.
This fellow was the most dangerous man alive in 1963. In New York City, there lived a guy who went by the nickname the Milkman of Manhattan. He would go door to door on the streets of Manhattan selling milk. Whenever he knocked on the door, he would request to speak to the father figure only. At the end of his sales pitch, not only would he sell some of his delicious milk, but he would also become best friends with the men he was selling it to. In 1964, over 72 men started to go missing, all coincidentally living within the streets of Manhattan. All the wives of the men reported seeing their husbands speaking to an odd-looking man on their front porch the day of their disappearance. Many of the children stated that their father told them he was going out to get milk, even though they already had milk, and it was very late at night. All the fingers would be pointed at the milkman. Investigators quickly discovered an underground lair beneath the streets of Manhattan where the milkman was living.
No.
There was also a boxing ring inside the lair, but that wasn't even the strangest part. There was an incinerator as well. When confronted by police inside his secret lair, the milkman said, "The first rule about the Fight Club is that no one leaves the Fight Club," an evil smirk spreading across his face. When asked by the police where the missing men were, he quickly pointed at the incinerator saying, "I'm undefeated, baby." He then began sprinting toward the police, and let's just say things didn't end well for the milkman that day.
I Google his name, nothing pops up.
وين موجود هذا حيوان اللي في مين انت؟ بعدين انت انا في سلطان انا في كبير امك انت ابوك انت شنو هذا كلام؟ حيوان كلب انت كلب ايه دم هات اكيد سبورت وصالة ما له دور يا بابا يا بابا انت هيك ما
What is that?
हिंदी अरे तू क्या है बंगाली मतलब चोट बंगाली मेरे को मार दूंगा ले क्या लेता है तेरा बाप का ले मार साले मार दूंगा तेरा मार का वो बोला हाईवान हम सुना था हाईवान क्या شوف انا نفسي شرم وقتك لي يعني شوف وين موجود وين موجود هذا حيوان اللي في مين انت هذا انت انا في سلطان انا في كبير امك انت ابوك انت شنو هذا كلام حيوان كلب انت كلب ايه كلب هات اكيد سبورت وصالة ما له دور يا بابا هي بابا हिंदी अरे तू क्या है बंगाली मतलब चोट अरे हिंदी मतलब चोट बंगाली कौन दुनिया में रहा
What is that?
انا نفسي كلام موجود وتكتب مني يعني شوف وين موجود وين موجود هذا حيوان اللي في مني ده بعدين انا في كثير
Oh no.
ابوك انت هذا كلام حيوان كلب انت كلب
I would still eat that over Indian street food.